Hi everyone, David Aragona and Mike Beer here taking a look at one of the stakes events on Thursday at Saratoga. Race 8 is the Wild Applause. This one carded at the 1 mile distance on the inner turf for the 3-year-old fillies. And this being a 3-year-old filly turf stakes, never a surprise to see Chad Brown have a strong presence. And Mike, he does send out 3 of the 7 runners entered for turf in this race. Cherie DeVaux's got 2. So we've got 2 trainers sending out 5 of the 7 runners of those entered for turf in here.
Yeah, that's true. It's always, you're going to get a bunch of Chad Brown in these stakes races, especially at Saratoga. And you know what? All 3 of his horses in here, David, I think all 3 of them have a chance to be really good.
I would agree with that. It feels like the 2 drawn towards the outside are likely to attract most of the wagering support in here. Play with Fire coming off a stakes victory at Pimlico last time, and Lavender Disaster off an allowance victory against older horses. So they're the 2 coming in with credentials, but there are cases to be made for a lot of these horses to get a sense of how the trips could play out. Let's take a look at the Time Form US pace projector for this race, Mike. And I was reading the race advance from our colleague Mike Welsh, who got a quote from Mark Casse, who was saying he doesn't really want to see Classic Q on the lead in here, but viewing how this pace scenario shapes up, even Mark Casse admitted he may be unable to keep her off the early lead because she kind of seems like the only horse in this field with much tactical speed at all.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. Why would you want to be on a loose lead when you don't have to go fast? I mean, that's no kind of trip to give your horse. I mean, this horse has to be on the lead in this race. She's the fastest horse early, and she's actually run a couple of races that would give her a real chance in here, David. They got to go forward with this horse.
Yeah, we'll see if Chad Brown gets more aggressive with one of the 3 he enters. He usually tries to split up the running styles a little bit, so maybe one of those will get a more aggressive ride than we've seen from them in the past. But just viewing who's shown second on the pace projector, the number 3 especially, who's kind of a plodding dirt horse, I think that speaks to how little speed is actually signed on in this race. Let's go through this field from the rail out, beginning with the number 1, Fixin' to Be. She's coming out of a 5th place finish in the Grade 3 Regret last time at Churchill Downs. Mike, I thought that the trip, some things went right, some things went wrong. Obviously, the start of this race, the race was less than ideal for her because she got steady between horses, taken to the back of the pack. But it kind of was a race where you wanted to be towards the back early because Classic Q ran off on the front end, went too fast. Things were kind of falling apart in the late stages. And I just wanted to see a little bit more finish from this horse.
I agree. I mean, listen, I actually thought that she was a little bit interested in that race at a big price. And I just thought that she would run better than that, David. A little trouble early in the race, but you're right. All in all, it set up well for her. I thought that the trip was a good one into the stretch there. And she just wasn't good enough to go with those horses. I still think that she's okay. She's had some trips along the way. Her win 2 starts back, I thought was a pretty solid effort. I wanted to see her run better last time if I was going to bet her back in another stakes race, and she just didn't run well enough to convince me.
Yeah, I think we talked about that race when we were handicapping the Regret last time, and you made some good points about her. I wonder if going longer than a mile is going to be what she ultimately wants in the future, so this might not be the right spot for her. The number 2 is Love and Poetry, one of the 2 going out for the Cherie DeVaux bar in this race, and she broke her maiden in impressive fashion at Fairgrounds over the winter, and then actually finished ahead of today's morning line favorite, Play with Fire, when she was second in a stakes race down in Louisiana. It's her last race, Mike, that I couldn't get too excited about because she got paced too close into it, and that race was way out the back door early. She was far back in the early stages of that race and made a bit of a run in the late stages, but definitely looked like she was going to be a threat in that spot. And with her running style coming from so far back, I just wonder how this race is possibly going to set up for her to be successful.
Yuri just didn't really like her running style for this race, especially when you add in the fact that she's got to improve to beat these horses too. So, we'll see if she can do it. I do think there's something there with her. I think she's run some pretty good races, and she did have, I'm not going to give her too much of an excuse last time, David, because you're 100% right that the pace was there for her. But man, did she have to swing really wide to the stretch in that race before she flattened out.
Interesting placement for Cherie's other runner in here, the number 3 especially, who so far has made 4 starts all on the dirt. Now will be trying turf for the first time as she makes her stakes debut in this Wild Applause. And I thought that her maiden win was sort of a grinding victory going back to Fairgrounds over the winter time. And since then, she hasn't shown quite as much tactical speed in the last couple of races, has picked up pieces in each of those spots. I think the horse that won last time, Clico, is actually pretty talented. So she was facing a good rival in that spot, Mike, but she just feels feels like a grinding one-pace dirt horse, and I'm not sure that that kind of running style is going to translate well to this particular turf race.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff. I mean, I actually don't hate her dirt form. I think it's actually okay, but she's going to have to be a better turf horse if she's going to be competitive against these horses. And I don't see any reason to expect her to be better on this surface.
Yeah, looking at the pedigree, her dam is a full sister to Southdale, who was a very good synthetic horse who also had some nice form on the turf. But overall, it's a pedigree that can kind of go any which way. And as you said, she's probably going to have to improve getting on the turf. The number 4 is Midway Memories, the first of those Chad Brown runners that we'll talk about. And we'll check out her maiden victory last time out at Aqueduct, where she was a heavy favorite, bet down to 3 to 5. This really was not the strongest maiden turf race, but she definitely was better than these horses, Micah. She didn't get a whole lot of pace to close into. Takes a little while to hit her best stride, but once she does in the final furlong, you can see she just easily wears down this long shot that got things her own way up front, and Midway Memories wins this going away. I actually liked her debut race at Tampa a little bit more because that was a stronger field than this, and once again, she got rolling really strongly in the late stages to just miss getting up in that spot. Chad Brown's kind of been searching around for the right spot for her. I think this is the 3rd race that he's entered in stakes company. He scratched out of the Pen Oaks and scratched out of a stakes race at Monmouth last weekend to run here instead, so we'll see if it pays off.
Yeah, I like her. I like both of her races. The replay that we just showed there, it took her. You're right. It took her a little while to kick in, but man, she fired a good one there to close that race down. Like you, I really liked her debut. I just think they rode her way too conservatively in there, and she was flying at the end of that race. She's got pedigree behind her. I'm expecting a forward movement here, David. I think she's going to be pretty tough.
Watching her races, she takes a pretty strong hold of the rider early, so I wonder if she's one they might get a little more aggressive with in this race. The number 5 is Classic Q, and Mike, I thought she ran some nice races in Florida over the winter, did not get ideal trips a couple of times, particularly in that Sanibel Island where she was wide every step of the way. I was impressed with that allowance victory too back at Churchill Downs where she beat older horses, and that's a race where horses had run faster speed figures coming in, some horses that come out of that race to run some fast numbers, including a horse who I think was 4th or 5th in that spot, Storm Miami, who came back to win with an 83 buyer. It's the Saratoga meet during the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival. The regret last time for Classic Q, I understand what Mark Casse was kind of commenting about in that race because she broke sharply. Jose Ortiz allowed her to run to the front end, and she just kind of ran off them a little bit, went too fast for the distance. I was checking out the Timeform US pace figures for that race, pace figures of 145, 144 for the first 2 fractions. That's way too fast for a turf round, especially going 9 furlongs, and she got tired at the end. I think 1 mile is a way better distance for her, and if she can relax up front this time, she's a danger.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I look at her as a dangerous horse too. I could go either way on her. I want to see what kind of price she's going to be in here. I like some of her races. Most of her races, I really don't like. When she broke her maiden, I thought she was super impressive breaking her maiden off of a perfect trip. Yeah. But I thought she was really impressive the way she did it. And the win 2 starts back though kind of bothers me because I want to give her credit for beating older horses, but I mean, talk about a perfect trip again in that race where 3 long shots just go out winging on the lead and she's sitting all alone in 4th, just waiting to make a run at them. I don't know, man. I don't know how good she is, but I do know that she's dangerous if she gets loose on a slow pace in here.
The number 6 is Played with Fire. And Mike, if you're looking purely at buyer speed figures, she's got the fastest numbers in this race, having earned an 83 on debut and then repeating that number in this victory that we'll take a look at last time out in the Hilltop at Pimlico. Now, it should be noted, this was run on Black-Eyed Susan Day. The turf course had already taken some rain, not as much rain as it had taken by Preakness Saturday, but still, this course was rated good. It was probably closer to yielding. You could see that in the final time, and it seemed like she really was able to get over the going as she unleashes that big turn of foot coming off the quarter pole to run by this field of the stretch. It is a visually impressive win, Mike, but I can't say that I really love her races prior to that. She had gotten less than ideal trips a couple of times, but I still kind of want to see her do it again, especially now moving into a different stable, the Chad Brown barn, having been privately purchased by LSU Stable since the last race.
Yeah, probably not great for her to move into this barn because it will bring money to her. And I'm kind of with you. I mean, I do feel like if nothing else, I think the difference last time as opposed to the prior 2 starts, I just think Pratt, he rode her better than the 2 prior riders did, where they just sort of moved early. I think they moved too early both times, and she got tired at the end. Pratt just waited it out. He didn't let her go until they got into the stretch, and she really came running. Now, if that's how you have to ride her, that's probably not going to work that well in this race. I think she's pretty good though. I thought she had excuses 2 and 3 back. I liked her win last time. I liked her win on debut. This filly has some talent.
Rounding out this field entered for turf, as well as the Chad Brown trio, is the number 7 Lavender Disaster. And Mike, she's won 2 of 3 in her career and really had no chance in the one loss because she got completely taken out by a stablemate coming into the stretch of the Miss Grilla. That's a race you could just draw a line through. So she's essentially undefeated in 2 starts in the race that she was actually able to complete. And we'll take a look at the most recent of those last time out when she came off the layoff. And it should be noted, beat older horses here in this allowance win and does so pretty comfortably in the end, albeit getting a very good trip in doing so. But Mike, just feels like there's still plenty of upside with this filly.
All of her races are good. Her debut was really good. That win right there was really good. Yeah, she was in position throughout most of the race there, but she did have to let a rival clear her in mid-stretch before she was able to get outside. And she just steamrolled those horses. You could even go back and watch the Miss Grill. I mean, who knows what was going to happen, but when I watched it, I was like, oh my God, she's going to win at the top of the stretch. And she just got totally eliminated. You know, she's drawn outside here, and I don't know how much ground she can afford to lose if this pace is slow, but she seems really handy to me, David, and I think she's really good.
I noticed the same thing. They almost have trouble getting her behind horses early in her races. So if they wanted to go forward with her in this race and try that out, they probably have an opportunity to do so because she's got the tactical speed for it. We'll just see if Chad Brown elects her to ride that way from the outside post. Let's go to picks for this Wild Applause, Mike, and you're going to land on this horse we were just talking about, the number 7 Lavender Disaster.
Yeah, I just like her. I think all of her races are good, and I don't think we've seen her best race yet. But I could say the same thing about Chad's other horse, Midway Memory, so I have second. Chad's going to be really tough in here. I put him 7-4.
Yeah, Lavender Disaster, Play with Fire, they've shown a little bit more. I just think there's a lot of potential with Midway Memories, and I'm not going to get too caught up in the slower speed figures. I really like the finishing kick that she's put in both of her starts, and we'll see how the pace develops. Where she's placed early trip's going to be key for a lot of horses in this race, but I just thought she'd be the right price of the Chad Brown trio. So 4, 5, 7, 6 for me, and 7, 4, 5, 2 for Mike in race 8 at Saratoga on Thursday, the Wild Applause. Good luck if you're playing the races later this week.